barely hear that then. Greetings, trivalent beings of spirit, mind, and body. It's time for the Ask Doc Alkebulanese Solutions show, sponsored by Prometheus Reborn Universal Foundation, whose mission is to spread the trivalent understanding noetics, which gives you the insights to your being. It features stand-up philosophy, drama, psychodrama, anthropology, biology, and more. This show is also featured by the edutainment of the Hip Hop Trio Plus. All songs are produced and created by, and also in partnership with Global Entertainment. The host of this show is Dr. Kwaku L. Carlisle Woods, RN, MD, Met D1, and the co-host myself, Dr. Essie Hamida Rockman Woods, MED, PhD, Met D2. I have the PH, he has the M, we both have D's. That makes us Doc². The title of the day's show is Monkey Time.
Monkey time! Do the monkey, yeah, do the monkey time.
Monkey time, yeah.
Take your hip and let your backbone slip.
Hey.
Backbone slip.
Do the monkey time.
Yeah. But before we get to the monkey time, y'all, I need to continue the time.
And we're right here, yes.
Last week. We went through time and learning last week, and I need to end that before we move on to monkey time. What I didn't tell you last week was your time and the fact that you are cheating yourself out of your time. Let me back this up and start off by saying you have been trained to be broke. You have been trained to be poor. You have been trained never to be rich or independently wealthy, or even just to be all right. I come from a large poor family and had never been trained how to use money. And unfortunately, when I started making a lot of money as a physician, I didn't know what the hell to do with it. So I went to a seminar in Monroe, Louisiana, and I was shocked when the guy who was giving the seminar told everybody at the seminar what I just told you, that you have been trained to be broke. Don't believe me? Listen to this. You just got paid. You just got a check cashed, and that cash is in your hand. What do you do with it? What's the first thing you do with it? Now, believe it or not, I'm in an auditorium with about maybe 75 or 100 folks. And almost everybody in that auditorium said, pay your bills. And everybody started nodding. And the guy was up on the stage said, all right, that proves my point. You have been trained to be broke. Who made that money?
Right.
That is the first person who needs to be paid. And who makes your money? You do.
That's right.
They pay you just about everywhere where you work according to the time that you work. Again, this is a continuation of last week's time and learning.
Time at the time.
They pay you so much per hour, or so much per week, or so much per month, or so much per year, or so much per whatever length or measure of time they are using to pay you through. Everybody who is here in this reality is only here for a certain amount of time. And you're trading some of that time for money. That's why you get paid according to how much time you gave up. But according to that doctrine, you are the person who's giving up the time.
Right.
You are the person who should be first paid. Now, hold on. Don't nobody get excited. You need to give yourself 10 to 15% of everything that comes into your hand. Every dime, nickel, quarter that you make, 10 to 15% of it needs to go to you.
Imagine that.
This is not mad money. This is not shopping money. This is not emergency money. This is your salary. And your salary from you goes into an account that is never, I repeat, never touched. You don't spend this for anything. And that 10 to 15% keeps accumulating. Now, what you do after you give yourself 10 to 15% is start paying your bills. You decide, what am I going to need to spend money on between this check and my next check? That goes second after you. After you pay you for the time you have given up. You pay you for the time between this check and the next check. That means food, rent, transportation, whatever it takes you to go from where you are now to your next paycheck. That's the second thing that should be on your list. Third on your list are bills. What we have all been taught to put first. Should never be. It should be third. After you and the stuff you have to do to get your next check. Now, it is very, very, very important that you do not keep what you are doing secret or silent. You need to tell all of your creditors what you are doing and how you are using both your time and your money. Something like this. You go after you pay yourself and you put aside enough money to take you from this paycheck to the next paycheck, you start paying your bills. And you pay your bills till you get down to the point where you just about have no more money to pay bills. You have a list of people that you need to pay, and on that list are the people that you now have not paid. You call them up. And you explain to the billing department exactly what you are doing. You tell them, my business plan dictates that I pay myself 10 to 15%, then put aside enough money to go from this paycheck to the next paycheck, and then I start with the bills. You are at the bottom of this week's bill list, and we do not have any additional funds. But because you're at the bottom of this week's or this 2 weeks or this paycheck's list, for the next paycheck, you will automatically go to the top. So you will be the first person paid at the next paycheck. Believe it or not, once your bill collectors understand what you're doing, you will never get another call or notice from a bill collector if you keep to this plan, if you keep to this way of using the time that you have in this reality and the money that you get paid for this time.
Time after time.
Time after time. Hot dog. See, there's a song we did last time. But generally, not only do you get a much better response from creditors once they understand that you have a plan and you're working it, they will usually give you a much, much longer leash if you don't pay them. Last but not least, taking care of your bills this way generally results in your credit score going up.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. You pay you, and your credit score goes up. Because you have a plan on how to most effectively utilize the time that you are here and the money that they give you for that time. All the while, your personal time funds are getting bigger and bigger, getting more and more. Now you can use that money as a basis for not only your credit, but anything else you want to do. It makes not only a difference, it is the primary difference between people who are poor and people who are not poor.
Ashe.
People who are poor
Amen.
pay their bills first.
Amen.
They don't pay themselves. If they paid themselves, they wouldn't be poor. Hot dog. Rich people don't pay their bills first. It took me till I was a physician and I was making about $500,000 a year before I realized that, before somebody actually told me that I had been trained to be poor and that I was not trained yet to deal with the amount of funds that I was getting on every 2-week basis. Made a huge difference in not just my financial status, but in my emotional status. I understood what I was doing. I relaxed about all of these funds that were coming in. I chilled out about paying bills. I did what I was taught to do by this gentleman who had informed me that, like most of Americans, I had been trained to be broke. Okay? Any questions on that? Give us a call and you know the number. If not, we're going to put it on the screen.
Yeah. And also you can leave comments and questions on the Facebook page and the YouTube page, and we can answer you like right away. So that's another way to communicate with us. We love to communicate with you all.
Yes, we do. That's why we're doing this.
And we also want to remind you, when we're saying imagine, that's how you listen. Imagine the information that's being given to you in pictures inside of your spirit. And this will give you the opportunity to understand much better, because what you already know will appear as well.
Yes. Let me re-emphasize what my wife just said.
Yes.
We perform as a Hip Hope Trio Plus, and at the beginning of every performance we have ever done, we do this little thing called Listen, in which we sing the words listen in harmony, 4-part harmony. And then we explain what we mean, because I almost got jumped on by a bunch of parents when I first came to Cleveland. I was a teacher at Elliott Junior High School, and I told parents at their first parent-teacher meeting that their children had a disability, and they were not pleased at all. What you mean, Doc? JoJo ain't got no disability. You just got to slow down when you talk to him. He ain't got no. Oh, excuse me, sir. Your son has a listening disability. You see, when I was a child growing up, we didn't have smartphones, we didn't have laptops, we didn't have televisions. All we had was radios.
Yeah.
So everybody had to learn to listen. Listening means you make pictures out of what you hear. And learning means that you practice doing that until it becomes part of you. You practice making pictures out of what you hear until it becomes part of you. You have now learned to listen. Children who were born in the last 25, 30 years have never been without a television, a laptop, or some means to see what they were hearing.
Unless they're excellent readers.
Even then, you don't get the opportunity to learn, to listen.
Alrighty.
As a result, The children that I was teaching had never learned to listen. They heard everything.
Yeah, they didn't
And
understand
once
what
I
they're
explained
saying.
that to the parents, the same guy who was about to jump on me said, whoa, hold on, the doc, hold on. You mean to tell me when I come downstairs and JoJo's sitting at the table and the trash is sitting over the corner, and I tell him to go take the trash out, when I come back an hour and a half later, and he's still sitting there, and the trash is still sitting there, and I get all up in his face and say, boy, didn't you hear me when I told you to take that trash out? And he looks up at me and he says, uh-huh. You mean he's telling me the truth?
He heard him.
Yes, sir. He heard you. He didn't listen.
Right.
He never learned to listen. And as a result of never learning to listen, he doesn't have spiritual energy behind what he hears. Because there's no images from his spirit to reinforce what he heard.
Yes.
That's why a lot of them have such bad grades in school. They have never learned to listen. They don't listen to the teacher. They hear them. When you see them all talking in a group, everybody's talking or waiting for a chance to talk. Nobody is listening because they've never learned to listen. Okay. Now, are there any questions about listening or the time you need to pay yourself?
Don't be shy about it.
Give me a holler.
That's right.
Give me a holler. Now, we're ready to go into monkey time.
Yeah, monkey time.
You're the monkey,
yeah,
the monkey time. All right. Monkey time is about monkeypox. I did COVID when COVID first started, when I was at voiceatradio.com doing my show called Humanity 3.0. My wife and I were the hosts there, and we were there at the beginning of COVID. Actually, Wuhan, China, where COVID first came from, we got infected with COVID within a week after it was announced here in this country.
Right.
Because we went to a Chinese New Year celebration with one of my students, Pu Ying, and there was about 50 people there to help her do this Chinese New Year celebration.
Yes.
And my wife sat right next to a guy that had flown in that morning from Wuhan, China.
Yes.
Within 24 hours, my wife and I both had fever, chills, weakness, tiredness. Oh, we felt like shit. Yeah. We felt like dying would be a mercy.
Within minutes, I sensed something was wrong. I didn't understand it. Yeah.
She is the most sensitive person I have ever met, and she felt something was not right. And we didn't find out until about a week later in actuality, because after about 3 days I went to VA, and VA did a COVID test on me and came back and said, "No, Doc, you don't have COVID." Yeah, right. We left VA and went home, and as soon as we're coming in the door, my telephone is ringing inside the house with VA calling me to tell me, "Doc, we made a mistake. You do have COVID." And I said, "Yeah, I know." I knew. I told you that when I got there. If you remember when our government first started doing COVID, we had a whole bunch of COVID tests that had a wrong reagent that would turn out a negative when it was actually positive. That we were the first victims of that too. Yeah. But COVID is now kind of coming and going, and everybody who generally is going to die has died. Yeah. All those who decided they wanted to follow line 44.5 and not wear a mask, not get an immunization, not do social distancing, they were supposed to die, and they're dead now. Yeah. Most of the ones who are left now have gotten their immunizations, are wearing masks, and are doing the things that's necessary to not only not get COVID, but decrease the possibility of passing it on. So it's not as much of a problem as it was a year or two ago. What is now coming up is monkeypox. So I'm going to give you a breakdown of what the hell that is and what it means.
Now
But,
imagine this, y'all.
yes, you're going to have to imagine it.
Yes.
But before we get into the imagining, I want to warn you, and I want to warn McKinley Tate III, that unfortunately a whole lot of the problems that we had with COVID, we are having with monkeypox. Misinformation, poor treatment, poor testing, persecuting strangers. That is monkeypox.
Racist.
Yes. Sexist,
Objection.
racist. Yeah. All of this stuff is coming on with monkeypox, just like it did with COVID. But that is the world that we live in.
Yes, it is.
And Global Entertainment, Global Entertainment produced this song
Yes.
by the Hip Hop Trio Plus.
Yes.
And the name of this song is exactly what I just got through saying. This is the world we live in.
That's right.
Shelly K, KK, my beautiful wife, and me. All are participants in singing this song that kind of explains exactly what its title is. This is the world we live in.
This is the world we live in. You can choose to dress in it. This is the world we live in. You can choose to dress in it. This is the world we live in. You can choose to dress in it.
Life has a purpose before we even came to existence. Everybody had a mission that we said we had to do. Beg the Most High to come back so that we can serve and fulfill what we said we here to do. But no, life isn't easy like that. We came into this world with a bunch of challenges, but luckily enough, the Most High got us blessed, giving us a grace that we naturally possess. So why do we sit around acting like we don't? Got so many gifts that we naturally own. We get here for greater things, we can feel it in the soul. Gotta go deep, gotta search the unknown.
This is the world we live in. You can choose to dress in it. This is the world we live in. You can choose to dress in it.
Talk to old Bay, give him pass to follow, not based on you. It's all kind of hollow, your own understanding is best for your being. It's all about knowing, it's all about seeing that you, the God sees the best. You believe it's all in your hands, don't be deceived.
Well, I got a few questions, cause I really get guessing. What would you do if you really knew you? We're on a mission,
Teaching you to listen,
Make images of what you hear.
listening to spirit,
not mind,
It hears it, forgot what I'm feeling.
not near.
to the power of you, release.
This is the world we live in. You can choose to dress in it. This is the world we live in.
choose to transcend it, listen more, imagine.
Absolutely. Now it's monkey time. Do the monkey, yeah, monkey time. Marvin Gaye did a song, and Smokey Robinson did a song, Monkey Time. Okay, monkeypox. More than 7,000 cases in the United States right now. Those cases are characterized by fever, chills, headache, thirst, decreased appetite, decreased energy, a whole lot of those rashes that we showed you earlier. Those things are painful. Somebody who has them says it's like sitting on shards of glass. The sores hurt. The sores themselves are very painful. They're painful to touch. They're painful to rub up against something. Now, we have, as I said, been kind of suffering through misinformation and a whole lot of lies, straight up lies, about who has it, where they get it from, how they get it, and so forth and so on. The one thing that you need to understand above all others is that 99.6% of all people who get monkeypox don't die. Monkeypox kills almost nobody. All right? That's number one. Number two, monkeypox is not a disease of Alkebulan.
Right.
Europeans know Alkebulan as Africa. No, the first cases of monkeypox were found in Denmark. Oh, yeah, Denmark. The first U.S. cases were about 20 years ago. We're dealing with a whole, that's Denmark. Hey, that's Copenhagen. I know it very well. I've walked down that very same freight. Remember I was telling you about the canals they got next to all the main streets there? That's an example of it. That's not a river or a lake. That's a canal that they have by all of the main streets throughout Copenhagen. Okay. In the United States, our first cases of monkeypox, believe it or not, were about 20 years ago. We had a long lag time to get ready for what we're dealing with right now. We had vaccines, we had treatments, we had tests, and all this stuff 10, 15 years ago. But the implementation of each, the tests, vaccines, and treatments was slowed, flawed, and delayed. The requirement for each was obscure, tilted, and somewhat unnecessary. In early June of 2022, we tested only about 10 people a day for monkeypox. Think about that. This is how many people we're testing in early June. Now, thankfully, by the end of June, we were testing about 60 folks a day. But now we're testing a hell of a lot more. But we should have been testing a hell of a lot more, a hell of a lot long time ago. Like at least a month and a half, 2 months. Okay. There is a drug that's called tecovirimat. Tecovirimat is also called TPOXX. But in order to get this treatment, TPOXX, you got to spend at least 2 or 3 hours just filling out forms, because this drug is only authorized for treatment of smallpox. It's not authorized as a treatment for monkeypox. It's an experimental drug, an investigational drug for monkeypox. So you got to go write all of this stuff down in order to be treated for this. And this is the only thing that will stop or eliminate those very painful sores that are characteristics of monkeypox. But one of the major problems that we have with this disease is a lack of urgency. And some people have said that this lack of urgency is about who monkeypox primarily affects. Monkeypox primarily affects homosexual males, bisexual males, and people who have multiple sex partners. I'm about to say a name that I don't like to say, because after I say this name, I usually say some bullshit. I will say the name anyway, because it's necessary. Marjorie Taylor Greene. My lips didn't even want to say her name. Yeah, that is the one I'm talking about. Now, Miss Greene seemed to be starting this same problem we had with HIV all over again, putting it on a specific group and just saying we don't give a damn about them, because it ain't us. Miss Greene, and I quote her, she says that monkeypox is not a threat to most of the population. I wonder who she's thinking about. She says, and again, I'm quoting her, people have to laugh at it, mock it, and reject it. It's another scam. As usual, as I told you before we started this, bullshit. This woman is lying like she normally is. She is ignorant like she normally is. And she is stupid like she normally is.
Now you're going to tell them the difference between
Of course. Ignorance simply means you do not understand something. If you're ignorant of it, you don't understand it. Stupid means you don't want to understand. And that's Marjorie Taylor Greene. For the longest part of her life, she did not want to understand truth, history, science, biology, genetics, anything that had to do with reality. Marjorie Taylor Greene was not going to be involved in it. She much prefers the reality that she just makes up. She much prefers that. That's why she's saying that lie on that mask Trump won. Where? Shooting craps? Playing cards? Because not in the election. Okay. What Marjorie Taylor Greene does not at all approach, and what most, unfortunately, physicians do not really approach, is specific instructions for that segment of the population for which this is a major problem. Let me give you some examples. This is something that was stated by a gay man who is now the deputy coordinator of federal monkeypox response. He's now the deputy coordinator. He said, we should consider virtual sex. He specifically said males masturbate at a distance from each other. He said sex with minimal skin-to-skin contact. Wash your hands and disinfect any sex toys or objects that you use after you have sex. He also stated you should limit your number of sex partners to limit your possibility of catching and or spreading this disease. None of our previous government advisors were homosexual males. So they gave us no instruction meant for homosexual males, who was, as stated, the main people who were going to be dealing with monkeypox. Okay. We have had, in the past and right now, systemic failures of our health care system. If you remember my show 2 weeks ago, New Image for a New Health, when I explained to you why health systems were ineffective, because they don't even know what the hell health is. They have no definition for it, and it's not set up to give you health, to improve your health,
Right.
to do anything about your health. Our health system is not about health. It's about disease. And specifically, it's about treatment of disease, not prevention of disease, not education about disease, but treatment. So you keep coming back of disease. Now, the New York Health Commissioner by the name of Dr. Ashwin Vasam says our current health system has not been invested in by the government in decades. There have been multiples of 10 years that have passed since our federal government made any significant investment in the health care system. Again, they don't even know what the hell health is. And they're not faking that they're trying to find what health is. They're not faking that they're trying to give you health. No. All they're doing is treating disease, and they're making no bounds about it. That's what they are doing. Other public health professionals say essentially the same thing, and I'm reading from Jay Varma, MD, PhD, and epidemiologist, who used to work at the CDC. He quit when he realized they wasn't about it. He says, we were handed a perfect setup. He means that we were prepared for dealing with monkeypox by dealing with COVID. Line 44.5, our ex-president, lied like a rug, but that's why I call him line 44.5. He's not a whole person. He sure can't be a whole president. He is lion 44.5. He told everybody, COVID, oh, it's just a flu. It'll go past. You turn around, it'll be gone. You don't need to worry about it. He lied up one side and down the other, while at the same time lying to the public, telling newspaper reporters and other people, oh yeah, it's serious and it's killing people left and right. And yeah, while the population that he's responsible for, he just kept lying. Okay. Once he got out of office, Joey B got in, we became much, much, much more effective at dealing with COVID. And that prepared us to a degree to deal with monkeypox. We knew the questions ahead of the test if we were taking this and putting it in a academic situation. It's like having a class that they already gave you the questions to the test before you took the final. You already knew that you were going to be infected with a virus. You already have a test for it. You already have a vaccine for it. You already have a drug to treat it. We have already had stockpiles of the drug and stockpiles of the vaccine to make sure that nobody gets it, and anybody who does gets treated for it. We actually had about 5 million doses of vaccine. But when monkeypox got to the United States of America and started having infections here, we totally and completely blew it. We let all except 2,000 600 doses of the vaccine go bad. They spoil. We didn't use them. We didn't give it to nobody. There were countries all over this planet who would have loved to have those vaccine doses. We let go to waste. Our prior president before Lion 44.5 had a system installed all over the world so that he could find infections by viruses just like this while they were still in other countries. And he could treat them while they were in other countries so that they never got here to the United States. As soon as Lion 44.5 got into office, he shut that system down. He either fired or reassigned all of the healthcare workers to this system that Barack had set up and took the money that it was supposed to get and used it to help build a wall. Excuse me, walls don't stop viruses. Walls don't even stop people for very long. But with all of that ahead of us, all of that behind us, and all of that right dead in front of us, we blew it. The United States of America did not respond adequately to monkeypox. And that's why we went from 20 cases to over 7,000 right now. Both coasts, East and West Coast, are ripe with it. But we're listening, unfortunately, to people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. The difference between truth and lies. The difference between science and just wishing for things. The difference between medicine and just rejecting disease, like Marjorie says to you. You have to remember, pink people are not very good with truth, science, history, facts. No, they've never really done very well with them. They don't think very well. They still think kind of immaturely. It's about me. It's about what I think. It's what I believe. It's about what I want. But these are the most immature human beings on the planet.
And our mission is to help, to assist them in enhancing a better being.
Yes, that is my job. My job is through the trivalent understanding noetics to give them insights into how they operate,
Yes.
how your spirit controls your mind, which controls your body.
Yes.
Try thinking, try using your mind without using an image from your spirit. Go ahead. I'll wait. The problem is you can't do it. You cannot think about anything you first don't have an image from your spirit for. That's how human beings function. And you have never been taught that. I was never taught that. That's why I ended up getting nominated for this $10 million prize for coming up with this. I was nominated for the X Prize for coming up with the trivalent understanding noetics, which explains how your spirit functions, how it controls what your mind does, and how the combination of your spirit and mind controls what goes on in your body. That's how human beings function. They never understood this in Europe at all, period. They don't understand it right now. That's why once I was nominated for this award, the people who nominated me for this award paid several thousands of dollars to get me and my assistant, McKinley Tate III, to go to New York to the United Nations Incentive to Innovation Conference at UN headquarters in New York to tell the world about the trivalent understanding noetics so they could get some insight into how humanity functions. Okay, why do we need to do that? Well, I'm going way back, and I'm always going to bring you with me. I am 12 years old. I am in St. Louis, Missouri. My favorite pastime is reading. When I'm not reading textbooks, and I read lots and lots and lots of them, I'm reading adventure magazines. You might call them comic books. I don't. Specifically, I'm reading in 62 Timely Comics, which later, after they got rid of Tales of Suspense and Tales of the Bizarre and all these other books, they turned themselves into Marvel comic books. Stan Lee, Stan Lee, Stan Lee. Marvel comic books gave some insights into humanity that most pink people were not at all aware of. And I was happy to be a merry marching Marvelite. I'm telling you that because I ask you the question, why do we have to understand the difference between truth and lies, between science and wishing, between medicine and just wishing diseases away? Why? Go to Marvel Comics, Nightcrawler, 012 issue, and go to the back of the last page. Wow. Look at that. That's Mutant, X-Men. Storm Aurora Monroe, who was married at one time to the Black Panther. They got divorced. But, yes. Go to Nightcrawler, issue 012, and on the back of the last page, it says, and this is who we do it for. The next generation of humanity. We call that next generation unum, because this country was created for the unum. Our first motto for the United States in 1776 was E pluribus unum, from many, one. Unum means one. And that one that this country was designed to produce, that's why we do this. To give them a future worthy of their potential. We need to give these people the future. And that future needs to be about truth. That future needs to be about science. That future needs to be about reality. That future needs to be about their historic place. That future needs to be based on reality. A mature reality, not a juvenile reality. And that's what I see from Margaret Taylor Greene and just about everybody else. Now, unfortunately, one of the things that we have a problem with for this unum is burdening them with our failures, our lies, our inability to attend to purpose. We are constantly bathing them in our failures, in our lack of successes. We need to stop doing that. There was a guy by the name of Mississippi Charles Bevel who wrote a song called Not a Season. And Not a Seasons was the title because it was about human procreation. Human beings are the only beings on this planet who have no mating season. You know they don't. We mate 24/7, 365. But he used, as an example, John Steinbeck novel later turned into a movie called The Grapes of Wrath. And Steinbeck says this malevolent, malicious energy that a people produce whose purpose has been not fulfilled and whose path has been blocked by others. The Hip Hop Trio Plus has a song we took from Mississippi Charles Bevel, but we call it Grapes of Wrath. Listen to this.
Babies coming to this world, not a season. Even if we don't, they know the reasons. And the one who sends them, gives them gifts to curb. Tells them, children, take your time, but do not tarry. You will all arrive but naked, and down to make it. You should have everything you need when you get there. But you should never have to eat the grapes of wrath. You should never have to eat the grapes of wrath. Gods and babies, they don't know how we are divided. If they did to send them, never would have been decided. Red and brown, black and white, how we mock them. Rich and poor, high or low, is how we start them. Why do we make those distinctions when we don't have an inkling of what each child will bring, how they'll share? We just take their gifts and crush like we don't care. Then we send them out to harvest the grapes of wrath. Yes, we send them out to harvest the grapes of wrath. They should never have to eat the grapes of wrath. They should never have to eat the grapes of wrath. So we all get in line for a young one. Some will grab 10 or 12, some will get none. And the children chose by rich ones will be pampered, while the children left to poor ones will be hampered. Why do we act like such heathens when every known religion teaches us each and every child is in our care? But we just take their gifts and crush them like we don't care. Then we send them out to harvest the grapes of wrath.
Yes, we send them out to harvest. Yes, we send them out to harvest.
Yes, we send them out to harvest the grapes of wrath. Whoa, whoa,
The Grapes of Wrath. We are coming to the end of our show, and we love to always end the show with peace. Proper
Peace.
education always
Always
corrects
corrects
error. May the Lord bless you and the ancestors protect you. Peace.
Like more of your own understanding. Like, share, and subscribe.
Yes.
And go to the sites that we have listed around us. The Most High is good.
And the ancestors are kind
Thanks
for having us on your minds.
Peace.